Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Manga Magazine series. We're continuing the 1973 run with this June issue here, which is, I think, one of the only, or if not the only, Garo issue that's Hanawa Kazuichi has made cover art for. So, although this is a little bit dirty at the front with some stains, still pretty cool one to have. So, this was a very fun one, and yes, there is a Hanawa chapter that comes later, which is pretty sick in this. So I'll just get started with it. The first chapter that we have is called Kannoko by Susumu Katsumata. And so this one is something along the lines of, well, we are set in a rural village, which is pretty characteristic for Katsumata's stories. But essentially, I believe we have this woman here who's like some sort of doctor. She's visiting the town. And as we go throughout the story, we find this woman here who's a beggar that has been outcasted by the town. So there's a lot of background when it comes to that. And the female doctor just goes around learning more about the town, I guess. But as we go on, we also learn about the beggar as well, who turns out to be pregnant, I believe. So you feel pretty bad for them. But yeah, this story was not in Red Snow, the English edition, nor was it in Fukushima Devilfish, I don't think. Yeah, great art as usual from Susumu. And it sort of just ends off with the doctor looking out to the night sky while bathing. So the next one we have is Traveler-kun, number 4. Again, more shenanigans with this little traveler boy who is now dressed up as a clown. Yeah, I believe it's been in every issue of 1973 so far for this series. Not sure how long it continues, but I am currently reading through the next issue in the 1973 run, July, and it also has appeared there too. So those were the first two stories. One of my favorite stories from this issue will be this one here. So this is a Hanawa Kazuichi story that is titled something like Causation. And I will bring it up to the camera more. Heavily inked throughout the entire story. So this story is like I guess a drama story following an executioner who is this man here. His name is Amenosuke, and his whole job is beheading criminals. So he makes a living doing that, and he lives with his wife. I believe it's this person here, and Sadakichi. So Sadakichi is this boy or man who was taken in by Amenosuke when he was a child, and they helped him, like he lives with them pretty much. And so what we start off with, I may have to censor some things later, but we start off with a scene where Amenosuke is doing his job and cutting off someone's head, as you can see over here. On the left, we get a scene where his wife and Sadakichi, the boy here is disgustingly sucking her feet because she has an illness there. There's like a wound. It's pretty disgusting, but it seems like they have something going on here. And we go back to Amenosuke, who is, executing this woman who claims to be innocent. And she sort of breaks out of the grip of the people holding her down. And it's sort of like this explosive, pretty scary scene. She kind of grips him and begs him, but in the end, she is killed. So it's a very violent double page here. And afterwards, what we get is Amenosuke does start getting like nightmares of the person he killed. Also another cool example of Hanawa's masterful background and inking. And what we do learn later as well is that Amenosuke has a mistress, a geisha mistress named Yuga. She pops up later on somewhere. Not sure if it's here or not. Yes, I think this is her. This is the mistress. And so, as we go on, we have, let's see here. So Sadakichi is with the wife again. Seems like they're having an affair. And so this chapter in general is just incredibly detailed. It's just insane. But essentially, Amenosuke comes home and he finds Sadakichi with his wife doing some dirty stuff. And so, funnily enough, the geisha is with him. And so he finds out and he gets very violent and cuts Sadakichi's arm off. And he brings them both down with the help of the geisha, brings them both down to the village, a river here, all roped up and ready to be killed, which is, ironic considering that he was having an affair with the mistress the whole time. But, in this society, he has all the power, he has the social standing to be able to do this and get away with it. So, I mean, when you think about Hanawa's works, they are pretty much centered on these type of corrupt people. How depraved they are, how corrupt. Yeah, corrupt is a pretty good word to describe all of them. And so, what happens is, he goes ahead and kills them or drowns them. But he turns out that the two children are born. So this is from, I think, the geisha, Yuga. So they're born, but they look like Sadakichi and his wife. And so the geisha is haunted by this. And then you have this sort of dream sequence here from Amenosuke going around. So they're pretty much cursed from what they did, as you can see here. And so the two of them, they try to go and pray things away. They were the ones that killed them, but they try to pray it away, this curse away. But the two babies, they drag the geisha into the river, and she goes ahead and drowns while he's just left here all by himself. He doesn't say a word, and has completely gone mad. So especially these last two panels, they're so heavy, it's so dark with the ink. Just looking at it from afar, it's insane. I do think I saw somewhere this story may be in the Hanawa release by Mansion Press. I'm not too sure. I don't know what stories they have in there, but maybe I did see some pictures. So I guess I will put a spoiler warning beforehand in the description, hopefully. But yeah, I have no idea what stories will be actually in the Mansion Press release. But yeah, that was the Causation chapter by Hanawa Kazuichi, my favorites in the entire issue. Alright, so let's continue on. This is another chapter of The Tale of the Gourd Heard by the Rich Man by Kou Shintaro, which I will skip over here. Next one we have is Kiss by Shinichi Abe. So this one, it's something along the lines of it tells a story of a bride being murdered at a party in some sort of castle, and there's tons and tons of dialogue with just detectives coming in and then people talking. It's so heavy in dialogue. It's not a part of like the Miyoko Asagaya series. It's a separate one, looks like. But yeah, it's that's kind of the gist of it. I don't really understand it, but kind of a mystery, detective mystery sort of thing. Very text heavy. Then we have something called, it's the Local University series by Akiyama Shigenobu again. Great art all around, but very text heavy. And then we have this series, which this one shot, sorry, I don't really think I can show at all. It's called Jarira by Fujisawa Mitsuo. And essentially, it's about these boys who they begin smoking, and they also learn, I guess by accident, what self-pleasure is. Because of that, I will not be able to show anything. So that was a wild story. Don't think I enjoyed that one. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. This here is a story by Kanno Osamu titled Starry Night Story. So this is actually his debut story in Garo, the very first story he's done in this manga magazine. And so essentially what we have is a man here. He meets someone else whose job is to capture fallen stars. And so it's a interesting premise. You see this man here, he's got these dark glasses, but eventually he reveals them to have stars in his eyes as well. And over time, the man develops the same obsession for stars too. So quite a short one, but it's cool seeing that debut chapter from Kanno Osamu. And it's quite different from some of the other stuff that he's currently doing right now. So, you know, this is back in 73, which is cool. Then we have a story by Kawasaki Yukio titled Old Jar Broken in the Evening Light. I was reading the the July 1973 issue, and in that has Ozashiki by Akasegawa Genpei, which is a parody of Nejishiki. And I reread it and I just realized that there was also a reference to Kawasaki Yukio's character as well, which is pretty cool. It's a whole meta thing too, which I'll show off in the next manga magazine series, but still reading at the moment. So I'll just quickly flip through the rest of this. And then we have yet another chapter of Pukaritopia by Iwamoto Kyuusoku. This one's interesting. He's still stuck in the ocean, but we've got this bubble thing, pipe coming out of the ground, and this guy here comes in to, not sure if he tries to save him, but pops up and a lot of things start floating around. Very nonsense as usual. The next one we have is the Pebble Legend chapter by Masuzou Furukawa. I actually have shown this off in a previous manga spotlight with the study for a fairy tale tankobon that Masuzou Furukawa did. So if you want to check this out in just a different format, you can check that video there. But it's something about like a freeloader and like he's in a frenzy and there's like a volcanic eruption. It was hard for me to understand, but love the art style from Masuzou Furukawa. Very thick lines throughout, cool borders. It gives it a very like nostalgic sort of feel, especially with these backgrounds too. And I always, every time I see these clouds, I just think of a ram, like with the horns. It just looks like a sheep with horns, which looks so sick. Yeah, there's some kind of conflict and a nice double page spread of the volcanic eruption. And yeah, so we're nearing the end. We've got another chapter of Ryuzan Aki's Canned Nonsense. Got some separate short strips throughout. Again, just very nonsense stuff. And then this one here, because it says here it's actually a chapter 2, so I haven't seen the chapter 1. It hasn't appeared in any of the 73 issues, so maybe it was like years before. But this one's called Pull Up, the chapter 2. All I can tell is that we've got a brother and sister here. The sister talks about a dream that the brother has, but again, a lot of similarities with Shinichi Abe. It's sometimes tough to tell the two apart. Yeah, so I apologize. I didn't know this was a part 2. I'll have to find the part 1 somewhere else. But the last story that we have is called Toshi by Kusunoki Shouhei. So I love Kusunoki's works. Amazing. This one's really cool and also kind of wholesome as well. Toshi and his friends, they are just in like the village center watching a I guess an entertainer, magician, that sort of thing, turning these papers into real birds or doves. And so because they're kids, they want to replicate the same thing, so they all come together and try to do so. And well, Toshi's sister comes through and he's not a great brother, so he just tells her off. But they try to do this origami to, have real birds come out of it. That's what they think will happen. But essentially it's a story of like just childlike wonder and curiosity. And he just is brought back home, and when he goes to sleep, he dreams of birds. So compared to other Kusunoki Shouhei stories, it's a more calm one, but I really enjoyed that. It's a simple story that doesn't require too much complexity to be good. And yeah, that was the end of this issue here. Definitely the highlights of the entire one is Hanawa Kazuichi is such an amazing story, Causation. One of my favorites that I've read, to be honest, out of everything. But yeah, so this was the June issue of Garo 1973. Hope you guys have enjoyed this one. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.